2019. Jeff Epstein's butler kept a detailed log of Epstein's crimes. Epstein's butler tried selling this information, which the FBI admitted was damning. Prosecutors free pass, however, and indicted the butler for trying to sell the information. How about that, man?
Alfredo Rodriguez was a quiet guy who saw it all from the inside. Epstein's Palm Beach butler from 2004 to 2005. He cleaned up the parties, stocked the guest rooms, and handed out the cash to the teenage girls who came for the massages. He was in his 50s back then, a family man from Miami, just doing his job in a sprawling pink mansion. But what he witnessed stuck with him. Young girls arriving by the handful, some barely teens, getting paid every $200 to $300 to rub Epstein's shoulders before things got weird. Rodriguez later told police he sprayed the bedrooms with air fresheners to cover the smells, collected used sex toys from the floor, and even saw Epstein's brother Mark around doing some of it too. He knew the routine, the hidden cameras, the consistent flow of visitors, and the way Epstein treated the place like his personal candy store. But in 2005, police raided it, and Rodriguez flipped. He sat in hours with detectives, spilling details to help build the initial case, names, dates, and how the girls got recruited from local spas and schools. But then he crossed the line. In 2009, with the feds were circling, he swiped a copy of Epstein's infamous Little Black Book, a 97-page Rolodex with over 1,500 contacts, from Bill Clinton to Trump's to CEOs to services. And Rodriguez called it the Holy Grail when his insurance policy against Epstein ever came after him. He can make people disappear, according to Rodriguez in a statement. And he hid it in a safe deposit box and tried to sell a photocopy to Epstein's defense lawyers for $50,000. Big mistake. The FBI caught wind in 2010. Rodriguez got indicted for obstruction of justice and felony charges for hiding evidence and lying to investigators. And he served 18 months in a federal prison in 2011 while Epstein walked with his plea deal. Even the judge called it a raw deal. Butler did more time than the billionaire predator. And after release, Rodriguez kept his head down in Miami, living with his wife, with issues, and staying out of the spotlight. No more interviews, no more big revenge tour, just a quiet life, maybe hoping the nightmare would fade. December 28, 2014, at the age of 60, he's gone from a brutal lung cancer tied to asbestos exposure from his earlier construction days, and his widow confirmed it with Daily Mail. No foul play, no drama, but right as the news broke in 2015, the Prince Andrews allegations exploded. Virginia Giuffre's lawsuit claiming Epstein trafficked her to Prince Andrews at the age of 17. And what's weird is that Rodriguez's wife, out of nowhere, drops his bomb. Alfredo knew all about Prince Andrews. He would have been a star witness, claiming the wife. He had first-hand views of the mansion traffic and the Black Book detailing the inner workings of Epstein's underage network.
Just before 10 this morning, he pleaded guilty in open court. He agreed to serve
18 months in the Palm Beach detention facility, 12 for felony solicitation of prostitutes, and an additional 6 for procuring persons under 18 for prostitution.
The conviction stemmed from several incidents from August of 2004 to October of 2005. The prosecuting attorney would not say how many female victims there are. She would only say there was more than one adult victim and more than one underaged victim.
Joe Riccieri was not the kind of detective to back down from a big fish, even if the water was full of sharks. And in 2005, he hopped in that water when a stepmother brought her 14-year-old stepdaughter to the police department, claiming that a billionaire offered her a massage job and ended up abusing her and paid her off with $300 in cash. And Riccieri, a 13-year veteran of the force, took the job and spent the next year and a half interviewing over 30 girls, some as young as 14. All told the same story about Jeffrey Epstein's West Palm Beach mansion. Told stories about toys in the bedroom, hidden cameras everywhere, recruiters like Ghislaine Maxwell scouting high school spas, and Epstein himself treating it like a sexual pyramid scheme, as Riccieri called it. You pay one girl to bring one more and keep the cycle going. He built a rock-solid case, though. Thousands of pages of notes, victim statements, phone records tying Epstein to girls' lives. And in 2006, Riccieri swore out a warrant for Epstein with 4 counts of unlawful sex with a minor and 1 count of lewd molestation. Stuff that should have locked him away, but, the Fed stepped in. Barry Kreshner, the state attorney, he backed off after meeting Epstein's lawyers, and the FBI took over in 2008, and the case crumbled in an infamous sweetheart deal, which was 13 months in a cushy hell with work release and no real-time search for Epstein. Gary watched it happen, furious and powerless, and he retired in 2013 and moved and got a job working with a buddy of his at Gold Holdings. And it was nothing flashy, and settled into his family life with his wife and kids, but it still haunted him. He gave interviews years later telling the Miami Herald how Epstein's operation was the most notorious he'd ever seen. Then on May 25, 2018, a year before Epstein's arrest reignited everything, Gary died. He was just 50 years old. His family called it a brief illness. His ex-cop friend, Mike Mason, said he last saw Joe on Thursday. Joe took Friday off to be with his family, and Saturday he was gone. The obituary at the Palm Beach Daily painted him as a smiling, hardworking guy around him better. He led major cases, won awards, and loved people. Friends and bosses like former chief Mike Ritter called him the best and was relentless, kind, and a good man for a tough job. People close to his family say it was sleep apnea. He battled it for years and passed in his sleep. No foul play, no drama, just a quiet end for a guy who stared down evil and walked away empty-handed. But here where it starts to feel off when it's like me and you're involved in this Epstein saga unfolding. This guy was a detective who knew the inner workings and the hard facts of the Epstein case. He's suddenly at 50 from a brief illness right after the Miami Herald's Perversion of Justice series in 2018, where they pretty much exposed the fact that Epstein was giving a great deal by the feds. You be the determining factor of this. Now, I'm not saying that they did anything to the detective, but I gotta say, once again, when everything's getting closer, it's all convenient.
When Mark Middleton was called to testify as part of these investigations, he pleaded the fifth 28 times, including to the question, "Are you a foreign agent?"
Wow.
So there's obviously a deeper story here. The question is, why wasn't Mark Middleton, suicided, whatever you want to call it?
I saw a lawyer. He went from finance director on the Clintons' 1992 presidential campaign to special assistant in the West Wing by 1993. At 30 years old, he was a guy who greased the wheels for big donors and VIP visitors, logging over their names in a guest book for the White House in Clinton's first term. And Middleton wasn't flashy, he was effective, the kind of behind-the-scenes operator who made the magic happen without stealing the spotlight. After leaving the White House in 95 amid China Gate scandals, gold and a foreign donation funnel from folks like Charlie Trey, and he pivoted his business and started working in his family's HVAC company in Little Rock, Arkansas, living a low-key life, and was married with 2 daughters. But you're gonna ask yourself, where's the Epstein ties? Those were the quiet bombshells that have slowly been leaking out. You see, Middleton personally signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House at least 7 times between 1993 and 1995, out of Epstein's 17 visits. Logs put Middleton on the Loretta Express in May of 94, rubbing elbows with whoever on this plane. He wasn't accused of any abuse, but was the gatekeeper. He knew who came and went, who also got the red carpet treatment. When Epstein's black book surfaced, Middleton's name was there. A direct line from Little Rock, Arkansas to Little St. James. But by 2022, Middleton, now 59, was out the game, running the HVAC business and coaching his girls' soccer team.
Let us do ours.
I'll take care of that.
I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that.
Giving you our best. We'll all take care of that. Call Middleton today.
Far from the donors, dinners, and private jets, no signs of trouble, no public beefs, just a guy that traded power and suits for family barbecues. Then May 7, 2022, his body turns up on a ranch at a non-proper farm in Perryville, Arkansas, about 30 miles from his Little Rock home. Hanging from a tree with an extension cord around his neck and a shotgun blast to his chest. No gun was found on the scene. Buckshot and an empty gun casing were found in a nearby truck, but the weapon vanished, and Perry County deputies called it a suicide right away. Backed by the state medical examiner also, Middleton's family fought to the tooth and nail to seal the photos and the files, and citing harassment from conspiracy nuts trying to put the Clinton body count on this whole case, and the judge let reports out but blocked the visuals to stop the spread of the wild theories. And yes, that's the part that makes this one stick to your throat, like this coffee is sticking to my throat right now. How do you hang yourself to a tree and shoot yourself in the chest with a shotgun? It just doesn't. Again, it's all convenient, right? A lot of these deaths around Epstein are simply just explained as, life, or guys like Thomas Bowers with Deutsche Bank. The funny thing is that JP Morgan stopped doing business with Epstein in the late 2000s because of all of his stuff that he was doing. But Deutsche Bank and Thomas Bowers, they went all in, cutting all kinds of $1 million loans and things to Epstein in the middle of his operations. And Bowers would have a similar fate of a suicide. And then you got guys like the sweetheart deal lawyers like Kenneth Starr and Roy Black, all gone. Life, random, or it's a coincidence? Arthur Shapiro, another strange connection with a low-key powerhouse in Columbus, Ohio, a tax attorney and partner at the firm Schwartz, Shapiro, Kelm, and Warren, handling big clients like Les Wexner, which is basically what we all know as Victoria. In the mid-1980s, Shapiro managed Wexner's accounts, dealing with complex offshore structures and IRS headaches. He was the kind of guy who knew where the skeletons were buried, literally and financially, with a Rolodex full of elite contacts. What's strange is when he was about to be interviewed by the IRS, he miraculously ends up being killed. On March 16th, 1941, leaves his office around 7 p.m. for what he calls a routine evening jog in a quiet, upscale neighborhood near his home. His burgundy Mercedes was found abandoned the next morning. Doors unlocked, wallet, Rolex still inside, no signs of struggle, and his body turns up 2 days later, March 8th, in Shallow Creek, 20. Shot 3 times in the head at close range with a .38 revolver, execution style. The gun never found, motive murky. Police chase mob ties, Shapiro reps some shady unions, but trails go cold. They were, like I said, they were pulling him in to talk to him at this IRS grand jury testimony and about Wexner's finances. And miraculously, Epstein steps right in and becomes the, I guess you could say, manager of Les Wexner. And he was Epstein's only billionaire client. And he gained power of attorney in 1991. And funneled him hundreds of millions of dollars with trust and foundations. And the funny thing is you're asking, well, how would Shapiro, if Shapiro was still around, he's a tax man. He would have seen the paper trail. He would have asked the questions about Epstein. Now, again, I'm not making accusations. I'm just reading the books and making assumptions and making you question things. But again, I'm just the messenger. This is all convenient. To end the video with all this, the person where it all starts. If you haven't, go back and watch my previous video on Sir Robert Maxwell or Ivan Hoke or Leslie Johnson, whatever the hell you want to call him. Look, this guy is the original blueprint to Epstein. Okay? His yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, named after his favorite daughter, was cruising off the Canary Islands. Maxwell goes for his usual naked sunrise swim. Crews see him on the deck at 4:55 a.m. and then nothing. Hours later, Spanish fishermen find his naked body floating face down in the Atlantic at the age of 68. Now you might ask yourself, Robert Maxwell, well, how would this benefit Epstein? Well, I mean, Robert Maxwell was running a $250 million pension fund scam that he was probably fixing to go down for. Miraculously, right after this, including Les Wexner and with Epstein goes from kind of just like a, rich guy in New York to literally billionaire status with yachts, planes, and everything else that you could ask for. all the connections. So with all these deaths, and I'm sure there's more that I could dig up and you could dig up and find. If you find any of them, send them to me, we'll look into them. But when you look at all this media scrum and everything that's going on, it's just a distraction. You need to be looking here. The money, the people, not Trump. I think you can read into Epstein and see that those two didn't get along. Epstein was veering against Trump from 2016 up to his death. That was the whole thing. I'm kind of keen to say that Epstein might have been behind a lot of the stuff involving with Trump from the 2016. It was just a crazy time, you remember. So that's the convenient death surrounding the saga. It makes things easy, right? No witnesses, no statements. Murky water, nobody knows. We're all just sitting here making YouTube videos and arguing about it in barbershops. Yeah. You know the truth. You don't need Pam Bondi to tell you. Use your eyes. Common sense. Don't think like a Democrat. Don't think like a Republican. Think like a reasonable person. All of these people are connected. That's the truth.